Desert, when the drugs begin to take hold.
You're either in or you're out. Right now.
I want to gamble.
I never want to hear those words out of your mouth again.
Gambling is not your problem.
Has anybody ever told you before of your bad luck?
Most gamblers, when they go to gamble, they go to win.
Those were my mother's dying words.
When we go to gamble, we go to lose. Show me the money.
Let's get out of here, man.
Boys, week 4. I don't think that at the beginning of this season, we thought this week was going to be as fun of a slate. But first, we got producer Derek live on the podcast today. Excited to be on cam?
Yeah, guys, glad to be here. Glad to get into week 4 where we start to figure out who these teams are.
Yeah, and for those of you wondering why Brandon Brister is not here, he bet way too much money over the last 3 weeks and hasn't done too well. So he is actually probably in a city near you, in an alley, giving hand jobs to help pay that mortgage. Anyway, so before we get into this week's games, let's get a quick recap from last week. And boom, there we have it. Derek led the way. JC, 6-9 on the season. How you feeling about that? How you liking that?
It was all purposeful. I wanted to be here when Gronk was going to return to New England. 6-9 is going to set up that bet, but now he's not playing, so that's no fun. But I can confirm that Brandon is in Pittsburgh and can confirm the hand jobs as well. That
is beautiful. As beautiful as wonderful as 669 is. It's a better number. 5-0, Derek. Congratulations. No matter how you cut it, however you cut that, undefeated makes you money, right?
I'm excited to get to that 10-5 too. First one of 10 wins. Keep that trend going.
So yeah, we've got a lot of excitement. Any other comments here before we get into these games?
Let's get it.
All right, let's go. Big game. Carolina, Dallas, 1.5-point favorites, over under 52. Obviously, I'm a little sweetheart here for the Panthers, specifically for Christian McCaffrey. Interesting number here today for you guys betting. Both teams are 3-0 against the spread, and with a 4.5 digit, one of them has to lose. Who do you guys think it is? Carolina. I'm taking Carolina plus the points here.
It's tempting. Carolina is obviously one of my favorite teams this year. I like what they're doing. I think Matt Rule has it going in the right direction. But I just think despite Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys are really fucking good. Defense is better than we thought it was going to be. Parsons is the real deal. I got to take Dallas in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm hoping this is going to be a bit of a shootout between the two teams. And if that is the case, then you have to like Dallas. They just have much more firepower with McCaffrey out on that side. So I like Dallas this week as well.
Gotcha. So as far as other bets in this game, I'm definitely riding under. I just don't see the shootout. I think Dallas is a little bit better on defense than they're given credit for. And Carolina does like a little more ball control, slow it down a little bit. That's just kind of where I'm leaning. We have any DFS plays here for the day? Any special props for you guys?
Well, I'm expecting this to be a pretty high-scoring game, so I think this is a fun place for DFS. The 6,000 to 7,000 level for quarterback, there's a bunch of really good value in between there. And at the bottom there is Sam Darnold at 6,000. I like DJ Moore. He has 31 targets in 3 games. I also think it's a good Terrace Marshall week with Dan Arnold being shipped off to Jacksonville. He keeps ramping up those targets. I think he does well. And, of course, on the Dallas side of things, Prescott's only 6,700, which isn't bad. Amari Cooper's only 6,000. And Dalton Schultz has 6 receptions in week 1 and week 2, 2 touchdowns last week. It's only 3,400 at tight end.
That's pretty huge. And I know that Terrence Marshall, once again, is his prop is over under 4 receptions. So I guess you're going to be leaning over there today.
I think it's going to be close, around 4 or 5. That's a pretty good line. I'm just hoping for that first touchdown this week.
So, right. And one of my picks of the week, one of my digs here is there's a pretty good value prop out there for Dak and Darnold, both going over 300 yards. Darnold's done that 2 out of 3 weeks, and without McCaffrey, I think that trend continues. Dak, I think it's pretty much a lock for 300 yards. There's some issues in the secondary and the back end for Carolina. So if both players throw over 300 yards plus 400, I think that's really good value for something that I think is very likely to happen.
All right, right on. I can get behind that. Let's get into game 2. Normally, I would put this as like one of my favorite games to watch of the day. This week, it doesn't even crack the top 3 or 4, man. Cleveland, 2-point favorites, traveling to Minnesota. the Vikings coming off a nice, impressive win, finished strong against the Seahawks. I'm a little bit soft on the Vikings. I'm always going to hate the Browns. Vikings have to roll here. Obviously, we're looking at a close game, but I have to take the Vikings at home. Back-to-back wins. Right now, I think, including Kansas City, the Vikings are the best 1-2 team in the league. They are very close to being 3-0, so kind of underrated, and maybe Cleveland being a little overrated, but definitely take the Vikings and lean over.
Yeah, I'm Vikings all the way here. I like the money line. I'll take the extra, juice there. I think the Vikings are a very good team. I think they kind of got a rough start. A couple plays go the other way. They might be 3-0. Cleveland, I mean, this is one of those games where you find out who they are. They play to the level of competition, and I don't know if they're an imposter or not.
Yeah, I think on the DFS side of things here, and maybe I'm just making my picks based on like what teams I want to put in my lineups a little bit more. I'm kind of like waffling on whether I want to stay with Cleveland. But on the DFS side of things here, I really like OBJ today. He has a 31% target share last week, and the Minnesota defense has just been giving up lots of yards, lots of touchdowns. And then on the same vein, Austin Hooper is at 3,700, but they've been giving up big tight end games to Max Williams from Arizona, who they just don't throw to their tight end, and Gerald Everett last week as well. Minnesota is really interesting. Kirk Cousins is 6,400, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, but I think the Cleveland defense gets to him a good bit this week. I don't know. And then obviously the usual suspects on the Minnesota offense.
Yeah, and so JC will be taking Cleveland, and Brandon's actually taking Cleveland with him in that. And sorry to backtrack, but Brandon's also taking the Cowboys in that opening game. But back to Cleveland, Minnesota, I'm riding Justin Jefferson first touchdown. It's one of my favorite types of props. It's painless, gets it over with quickly. Finished strong, kind of got over the early season yips. Had just a whole bunch of drops early on. Didn't look right. Minnesota's going to score at will, but I'm expecting Justin Jefferson to have a 20, 25-point day, maybe flirt with high 20s, low 30s. But game 3, my darling game. This is the one I don't want to pick it. I don't even want to talk about it. I just want to watch it and hope for a shootout. The Arizona Cardinals, led by Coach Cliff, heading over to the Rams, who right now, head and shoulders, the best team in football. So just like we say about Arizona, they're just super unconventional. Let's go ahead and take the Cardinals plus 4.5. Over-under is 55, and our buddy Drew, who smashed his nice parlay last week, said hammer the over, take the over. I'm going to ride with him there.
Yeah, I love the over here. But like you said, I truly believe that right now, today, the Rams are the best team in football. 4.5 points. I feel comfortable with that. I go Rams all day.
Yeah, it should be a good game. I want this to be a close game like we talked about, so I'm going to take the points with Arizona. But I think from a fantasy standpoint, what do you guys think? Is Robert Woods going to have a week this week?
I think Robert Woods only emerges when somebody figures out how to shut down Cooper Kupp. Until that happens, it's the Cooper Kupp show.
Interesting. I mean, his value just keeps coming down and down. I keep wanting to play it. I think both running backs in this game are going to be kind of tough. Henderson should be in a pretty decent committee, and he's still questionable. Edmonds is all right, but he's at 5,500, and I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire a little bit more at 5,400 as well. Should be a fun game, but I think just kind of stick to your studs in terms of fantasy purposes.
Looking at this game, it's kind of like in the weird scary movie of your children being held by the bad guy, and they said pick one to die. That's kind of where I'm at with this. I don't want to root against either team, so yeah, I'm not going to invest too much money in this because I don't want to be heartbroken, and I also don't want to put any bad juju near either of these teams. I'd love for this to be the NFC Championship as my preseason prediction. So we have a pretty good Sunday night football game going on. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers going back to New England. 7-point favorites, over under 49. Kind of like the Bucs here. Derek, is there something special going on tonight?
So this is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see, but it's also going to be a bloodbath. So, the enjoyment for Patriots fans stops at hey, Tom Brady's back, whatever ceremony they do, whatever highlight reel they show, and then the pain starts. It's going to be bad. 7 points is crazy to me. I think they beat us pretty handedly. They are flawed. I mean, we know the Bucs are flawed. That their secondary has issues. They have no running game to speak of. Tom Brady led them in rushing last week. but I just don't. I don't think it's enough.
Tom Brady led them in rushing. How disgusting is that?
What was the custom prop on that? That had to be a big payoff for somebody.
Where are you leaning on this one, JC?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about this game at all. I'm probably not even going to watch. But yeah, I think Tampa Bay should roll this one. So this is going to be like a showdown captain game for me. I have one interesting lineup I'm probably just going to throw out there. I have Kendrick Bourne at the captain, which allows you to put in Brady, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and then you can your last player would be OJ Howard with Gronk out. I like that one this week.
So I had some issues sleeping last night. I had someone snoring next to me all night, but I had this dream before that happened. I had hit 5 of my 6 of my first touchdowns, and the last one was going into the Bucs game tonight. Originally was going to be Gronkowski. I think him not playing will be the biggest disappointment, because how exciting would that have been for him to get the 68th and 69th yard and just do a Gronk spike with a touchdown, all the good stuff, fireworks, theatrics. But I have to lean with another quickly spurned Patriot, Antonio Brown. I'm riding him first touchdown. I'm not expecting a monster game from him, but I want him in the end zone. I can't. This line should be 10.5. It's hard to see Bill Belichick losing twice in a row at home, double digits, all those fun storylines. I think this game's really just going to be super boring, super ugly. Bucs 27-13. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and one of my other digs here is Brady and DFS. If you play in a format that plays a Sunday night game, play Brady. I think it's going to get petty, and I think there's going to be a lot of passing touchdowns.
Do you like anyone on the Patriots offense, Derek? Any receiver you think is going to get targeted a ton? Where you have
my favorite guy, especially so James White goes out, that it limits the intermediate availability. Running back out of the backfield. It looks like their plan to replace that is going to be Kendrick Bourne running those short intermediate routes. I like Kendrick Bourne a lot. I think Jacoby Myers emerges, 104 catches in his career without a touchdown. The trend has to end eventually.
That's a great stat.
Yeah, it's the most ever. Like nobody else has won ever. Like I think 59 was the next closest, and he's like 104. But I think Kendrick Bourne is really PPR. He's the guy. I think he's going to get a lot of short receptions.
Hey, 13 receptions for 13 yards. That's still 14 points.
Jalen Waddle.
All right, so let's get into the Monday night action, which is also another matchup of my sweetheart darlings, the Las Vegas Raiders. Travel to LA. LA is a 3.5-point favorite, 52.5. Guys, what the Raiders have done thus far this season, nothing short of spectacular. Everybody in the world talk shit about what the Raiders did with their offensive line and all the questions. Some of the things I did like about their young, talented defense. That fucking ship stops today, gentlemen. The Chargers, I'm so big on them. My AFC favorite, my AFC West favorite, who just went into Kansas City and whooped that ass. Chargers by a lot. Is this going over or under? I'm kind of torn on that. Have to lean a little bit over, but I'm going to have to ride the Chargers either way.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders, they're pretty much up there. I think them and there's two. They've won the least convincing 3-0s. The 2 overtime games. They beat the Steelers, who are bad. Thanks, guys. But the Chargers are the real deal, man. 3.5 is crazy. I think this is an under game. I'm really feeling an under game here, but Chargers for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think, and I had to do a deep dive for one of my buddies this week between Derek Carr and Justin Herbert. And obviously Carr's numbers look like they're very good, but it's like touchdowns per attempt, his yards per touchdown are really below league average right now. And he's just kind of benefiting from playing 2 extra quarters and overtime games. So I think Vegas gets exposed a little bit this week and Chargers just roll.
All right, who's going to be the highest scoring fantasy player in this game? It's Keenan Allen. He's been a monster for me. Can he be my first touchdown prop again? Can he get 30 points? Where am I looking at there with Keenan?
I mean, I hope so. He's going to be the workhorse in terms of receiving. Mike Williams has been getting touchdowns at kind of a super high rate. So it'd be nice to see that Allen gets a little bit more love in that regard. I'm hoping so.
All right. Any other notes from this game? All right. So we do have some other games to cover real quick, but I just got a text from Brandon, and he said he'll give me half off my hand jobs if I repeat his last 3 games. So Brandon did take the Rams, the Bucks, and the Chargers. He'll probably go 2-1 in those. A couple other fun games this week. The Chiefs 7-point favorites going into Philly, over under 54.5. This has to screen DFS stat game. I know I've been wrong about a few stat games before. 7 points. I lean Philly mainly because I'm a soft spot for Jalen Hurts. Over 54.5. I think I dig the over here. Big day from Zach Ertz, starting to get some targets, found the end zone. So I'm going to have to take Philly plus the points over Zach Ertz touchdown. How wrong am I, JC?
I don't think you're wrong. I mean, that just from like a DFS standpoint, look at this. Like Hurts obviously leaves some to be desired from a passing standpoint, but he's still a top 3 fantasy producer in terms of points. So he should have a great day. He's pretty much going to be matchup proof with this, on the ground moving forward. I prefer Jalen Reagor over Devontae Smith this week. He's been producing about the same level. He's going to be a lot cheaper in terms of DFS. And like I said earlier, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, is a great play at 5,400. Still top 10 in carries, still top 10 in yards, and still owed some touchdowns for regression that way.
Yeah, actually, CEH reluctantly, because I hate him. I think he's highly overrated and not that talented. But I did take him first touchdown, so watch him. Weird carrier on the inside. Points aplenty. What do you got for us here, Derek?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I know this is one of our official picks. I think Kansas City tries to get it right, but I'm not a big Edwards-Helaire guy either. You got to think, like, are they just going to force feed Kelsey and just he's going to put up 200 yards against somebody, like, just to get it done?
Why
not?
It's
a good Tyreek week. Eagles corner the butt.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the key. They'll take Tyreek out of the game, but if you don't have the personnel to do it, probably not going to work.
That's fair. It's fair. Game 2. This is a game that, like, I didn't even come up on my radar until I looked over the thing like 3 or 4 times. Tennessee going into the Jets, 6.5-point favorites. It was 7, moved down. No Julio Jones, no AJ Brown. That means Derrick Henry's definitely going to get 30-plus carries, and anytime he's getting in that 30-carry mark, he's fucking scoring points. Where are you guys leaning on this? Because I'm still weirdly torn. I'm not sure about Tennessee, but you have to hammer Tennessee, and you have to go under, over. Where are you guys sitting?
I think this is, even though it's a low number, like, I still could see this as an under, just because I think Tennessee is going to just bleed so much clock. I do have them. I got them at -6 as one of my locks this week. So 6.5. I don't think that really changes anything for me. It's still a touchdown, and I think that's the margin. The Jets are terrible because their quarterback keeps turning the ball over.
They are who we thought they are,
and I don't think that stops today. I am playing the Tennessee defense in every format possible. I'm playing them in DFS. I'm playing on all my fantasy rosters. Like, everywhere you can play Tennessee defense, I am.
And now, quick note before our JC gives us some fun picks from that game. The Jets have turned over the ball a fucking lot, but you know who hasn't forced turnovers? The Titans. For me, I think if the Titans had forced maybe 2 more turnovers somehow early on in the season, I'd like to lean over. But yeah, I'm right with you, Derek. Weirdly low number, but I still want under 44.5 just because I don't see a defensive touchdown today. Big carries from Derrick Henry, but it has to be 27-10, right around there. JC, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the turnovers, which is interesting because Tennessee's defense was awful last year, but they got a ton of turnovers, so we're just seeing a little regression there. But obviously, it feels a little bit too good to be true. Derrick Henry, the receivers are out. You just know he's going to get a ton of carries, but the Jets would be crazy not to stack the box all game against them. So I'm a little bit concerned with Derrick Henry. He's going to be in a lot of my lineups, but do diversify. If you want to top back, throw Kamara in there as well. And I do like Nick Westbrook and Chester Rogers today. They're going to have to run some play action. They're going to have to get the ball out for Tannehill, and they're going to be available. They're at 3,000, 3.2. Throw them in. They're a nice lineup piece today.
Right. Last 2 games here. One, the Washington football team, 1.5-point favorites traveling to Atlanta. I really liked what I produced last week between these 2 teams and their separate games. One thing I was completely right about was Washington's football team's defense is so bad, not as nearly as good as we thought, and that Chase Young would still once again not find the quarterback. He's been quiet. He's getting some pressures, but nothing near the elite that everyone wants to make him out to be. But you know what? That stops today. We're going to predict him at 3 sacks, 2.5, 3 sacks. Washington football team rolls Atlanta.
I mean, I'm still with you on the Washington football team beating Atlanta because I think Atlanta is probably the worst team in the league. I won't tolerate. I have to check the Chase Young slander every time I hear it. He's an amazing football player. Get the fuck out of here.
Is there any good value here, JC? Because I know I've got Cordell Patterson drafted in a few of my leagues, and it's playing out pretty nicely. It's nice to play him in both slots, especially when Christian McCaffrey goes out.
Yeah, Patterson's been super fun, and I hope he continues to keep it going. It's just a really tough game to predict. The Atlanta offense is odd. You want to see Kyle Pitts in there, but he's at 5,000. I still don't think he's a great value until he produces. Gibson would be a good value at 6,100, but he's questionable, so we don't know how much they're going to give to J.D. McKissick. McLaurin should be just fine at 69,000, and Calvin Ridley should have a good day. Like we said, the Washington defense isn't that great, but they keep trying to get Matt Ryan killed, so I'm sure it'll be an interesting day.
That just reminded me, I got pretty hammered the other night and put a weird prop parlay in, and I remember I've got Cordell Patterson scoring a touchdown in there, so let's get him in.
Love it.
One more fun game, right back to the NFC West. Seattle, San Francisco. Niners are 3-point favorite, over under 52. I'm just going to keep this one plain and simple. Seahawks fucking suck. They're going to be last in the division. I'm going to ride the Niners here. They should just take what Minnesota did, run the ball down their throats, and try to get some good different pressures on Russell Wilson.
Yeah, this is one where, I mean, for the sake of the show and making a pick, and I'll pick San Francisco, but I'm not putting any money on this. I just don't like two teams in the same division where the underdog has the way better quarterback. Russell Wilson has been known to carry the team from time to time, and this kind of has that written all over it to me. But for the sake of this, logically, I'm going to go San Francisco. But again, not putting any money on this one.
Yeah, from a DFS standpoint, Seattle is really weird today. Metcalf is 72,000, Wilson 71,000, Lockett 71,000. So it's really hard to kind of pick between them. But I do think San Francisco has some good value plays. They're going to struggle running the ball. Elijah Mitchell is going to be out, but Kittle's at 59,000. Deebo Samuel's at 6,500. Brandon Ayuk at 5,000. That passing game should be a nice value against the really bad Seattle secondary.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe DK Metcalf is a game time. He's either questionable or game time decision.
He is questionable. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so obviously big name, so got to keep your eyes on that. All right, boys. I've got nothing else. We're getting ready for a Steelers-Packers game tonight, but I can't wait for the gibberish Tomlin's going to say. I'm sure it's going to make a lot of sense. Anything else for the final notes, boys?
That's it.
That's it. Find Derek or find Brandon on Penn Avenue. Have a good time.
Yeah, just mention bettings and beers and get off cheap.
20% off your hand job.
Yeah, 20% off. All right, good luck, everybody.